All right, next up we're going to have Brent Rasmussen from ATSU ITS department. He is our Blackboard administrator, and we also have another friendly face here in the classroom of Jeremy Andrews, is another Blackboard administrator. And we have the guys here on campus, and we're going to talk a little bit today about the Grade Center. And the Grade Center, I think, is kind of misnamed a little bit because it does a whole lot more than just grades, and that's kind of what Brent's going to talk about. You can do a lot of management of students and a lot of calculations and stuff in there that you might not think about. So Brent's going to be ready here in just a minute.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Brent Rasmussen. I am the Blackboard guy for ATSU and have been for many years. Jeremy here is my colleague. He's also one of our Blackboard guys, and I guess you just got introduced to him anyway. But what we're going to talk about today is the Grade Center, and I know this is so exciting stuff. This is the best stuff ever. This is what I live and breathe every single day, is Blackboard, and especially the Grade Center. What we're going to talk about today is tips and tricks, basically. I'm going to log into Blackboard here so I can kind of demonstrate as I go along. So give me 2 shakes, and I will log in here. So first thing we want to talk about is, where is the Grade Center, or what is the Grade Center? The Grade Center is located on your course management control panel, and it's only available to you if you are an instructor in a course or have an instructor level role in a course. And you're probably familiar with that. The way you access it is you just click the thing and it opens up the menu, it expands it. Let's talk a little bit about the structure here. These are called Smart Views. So needs grading, full grade center, assignments and tests. These two right here, assignments and tests, are called Smart Views. These Smart Views can be added or removed, or you can create your own Smart Views. So these are not defaults that you have to stick with. You can all of our courses come standard with the assignments and the tests Smart Views. So if we go into the full grade center, and let me see if I can reduce the, there we go. If we go into the full grade center, we use this manage drop-down button here. You see in the drop-down menu here is called Smart Views. And as you can see, we've got a green star next to assignments and tests. Those are the 2 default Smart Views that come in your grade center. Now, let's say, for example, that you have graded discussion boards in your course, and you give your students grades on the discussion board posts, and you wanted to easily see that. We just check that green star there, and then, as you can see, if we go back to the home here, and then back into the Grade Center, you see that now we have discussion boards listed here and under our Smart Views. You can also create your own Smart Views. So we go back here to the Manage button to Smart Views, and let's create a Smart View. We'll call this one homework, for example. And we want to add it as a favorite, so it's going to end up in this list over here, in our Smart View favorites. We'll grade on a percentage that's greater than or equal to 70%. And we'll show all the columns, and we'll click Submit. So now we've got a Smart View that's going to, according to our criteria that we've just created called homework, that we can then specifically pull up just the columns that have to deal with homework that meet our criteria that we just created. So that's kind of a neat thing there. So what we'll do right now, we'll go back in here and we'll just get rid of that homework Smart View because we don't want to see that anymore. So now, as you can see, we go back to home and it's gone. So that's the first part. That's kind of the basic structure of the Grade Center menu. Next thing I want to talk about is categories. hold on a sec, I have, that was the menu, so now we're going to Smart Views, now we're going to categories. There we go. All right, we're going to go to categories. Categories in the Grade Center also are in the Manage drop-down. You also have some default categories that come with your course. And as you can see, these categories are assignment, blog, discussion, journal, safe assignment, self and peer, survey, test, and Turnitin assignment. And we have that Turnitin assignment as a default because we use the Turnitin building block in Blackboard, and a lot of folks use Turnitin to do plagiarism checking. We also have safe assign, which, just kind of as an aside, is the same sort of tool as Turnitin. However, in the new version of Blackboard that we have just installed over the Christmas break, safe assign is built right into the native Blackboard assignments, and it's super easy to use. So if you're having trouble with Turnitin or with rubrics, because Turnitin has its own rubric system, check out Safe Assign. Safe Assign is built right into Blackboard. It's built right into the native assignment tool now. Anyway, these are the basic categories that you have. We also have a Create Category button here. You can create your own categories. So again, we're going to create a category called Homework. And so once we create that category, now it's listed here. And what we can do in the full Grade Center is we can go into our column organization page here. And let's say that the end of course, or the M1 sample paper, we want to change the category of that to our new one that we just created called Homework. So now that category is Homework. And the reason why this is important is because you can use categories. Go ahead.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was asking a second.
What's that?
I was asking, why do we need categories?
Well, the reason why you need categories is for calculated columns. When you want to use to weight grades, let's say you're weighting grades, okay? You want to weight homework at 20% of the grade. You want to weight quizzes at 35% of the grade. And you want to weight something else, participation at 5% of the grade. You can weight by category. It's a very easy way to weight your final grades. And so if you don't have the basic categories you need, you can create them.
Yes.
And then assign your columns to those categories. So that's why you would need categories. All right, so next thing we want to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, is grading schema. Grading schema is basically letter grades. It comes basic with Blackboard. You get one grading schema that comes default in your course, and it's called letter. And so we can edit this. So if you use letter grades, A, B, C, D, F, whatever, you need to look at this schema. You need to either edit the one that's there or create one for yourself. As you can see, this is very basic. We just have A, B, C, and F. And it's kind of easy to see how it works, greater than or less than, or 80% or less than. And so you can change these. You can add A+, B+, C+. You can add criteria or rows to these grading schema, or you can create your own and use that grading schema. So if you're comfortable with what we've got as a default here, you can use that. If not, then you need to go in and edit it in your course. And the way you get to that, I don't know if I went too fast, but you're in the full Grade Center, again in this Manage drop-down menu, and then you choose grading schemas. Now there are columns get added automatically in Blackboard for Blackboard native things. So you have a Blackboard assignment or a Turnitin assignment or a Blackboard assessment, a test or a quiz, or a graded discussion board. Those columns will get automatically added. So when you create the graded discussion board and you say this is worth 10 points when you're creating it, a corresponding column gets created. But let's say you have something like participation that is something that's not created automatically. It's not a tool in Blackboard. So what you would want to do is you would want to create a column to grade participation manually. And so you would basically just click the Create Column button, and we would call that participation. And the grade center name, if you don't specify that, it'll use the same name that you use for the column name. You can describe it if you'd like. This is basically descriptions that are only seen by instructors, so if you have co-instructors and you want to kind of describe what you were doing with this. Primary and secondary displays. What you have to understand about primary and secondary displays is that the primary display is what your students will see. So that's what you're going to primarily grade on. Your secondary display, only instructors will see. So we can grade on score for the primary display and grade on something else or none for the secondary display. It's up to you. And you can choose your category right here when you're manually creating a column. So we'll go ahead and put this in our homework category just for fun. And we'll call this 10 points. At this point, you can also associate a rubric with it. Rubrics are built into Blackboard. They're native Blackboard rubrics. One thing that we've discovered with April 2014 is we cannot apply Blackboard rubrics to Turnitin assignments. We can apply it to Turnitin assignment columns, and I know that's kind of a very small distinction, but it makes a difference. So when you're using Turnitin, you need to look at using the built-in Turnitin rubrics or switching over to Safe Assign and using Safe Assign and Blackboard rubrics. Yes?
Whenever it gives you in Turnitin specifically, because I have to use Safe Assign,
Okay.
it says what the percentage is, the Similarity Index. Can that be put into a column?
You mean the report?
Well, like it gives the Similarity Index in
Yeah,
Turnitin.
that's the Turnitin report.
And will be 22% or...
Yeah, actually, no, that's something that we can't, that doesn't go into a column. Turnitin assignments, yeah, you can get like the point value, 89 out of 100 points. That'll go into the column. Yes?
Brett, please repeat the question back so that...
Oh, sure.
The question I had was on...
So we can hear it on the microphone.
We have both mics going. I have the camera mic as well, but it is a little bit quieter. His mic is much clearer than the room.
Oh, okay.
So would that happen with the Safe Assign?
Well, again, you're talking about two separate things. Safe Assign is the reports that are generated by Safe Assign will not show up in the grade center. They'll be accessible by the student if the instructor makes them accessible by the student, and they'll be accessible by the instructor. But it's not something that typically goes into a grade center. Grade center, you're talking letter grades, percentages, or point values for specific things. So the plagiarism report won't go into the grade center. No, it's a different sort of thing. In any case, we were talking about creating manual columns. This is how you create manual columns, and at this point you can add a rubric if you'd like, and all the other basic options you've got, a due date, and show this column to the students, yes or no, include in grade center calculations, yes or no, and show statistics. So that's how you create a manual column. Calculated columns are a different animal. Calculated columns, they afford the opportunity to combine the scores of a number of individual standard columns to create a new calculated column. Perhaps the most frequent use of these calculated columns is to add up a total number of points earned by students for a final grade or a total points column. And as you can see, the total points column, which is a calculated column, is one of the default columns that comes in every Blackboard course by ATSU. Now, to create a calculated column, you would first need to choose the type of column you're creating by using the drop down here. And so we'll just create a total column. And so you give it your name. You choose, again, the primary and secondary display. And then the difference here now is because you're choosing a total column, which is basically just going to sum up different point values from different columns. You need to choose which columns you're going to sum up. So you can choose all, or you can choose to select individual ones. So we're going to choose course grade and we'll move it over here, and sample paper, and we'll move it over here. So we'll calculate as a running total, which only includes items that have grades or attempts. And then the standard options, show this to the students, yes or no, and use it as a grade center calculation column, yes or no. That is a calculated column. We have 4 different kinds: average, minimum, maximum, total, and weighted. Minimum, maximum calculated column is kind of neat because you can use it to, let's say you have an assignment with 2 attempts, but you only want to use the one that they scored best on. This is where you would use a minimum maximum calculated column, and then you would use both those attempts, and it would throw out the lowest one. So that's the advantage of that there. Weighted columns is what we were talking about previously with categories. A weighted column allows you to use categories or individual just columns to weight your grades in a formula. Primary display is always going to be percentage in a weighted column, and it gives you the columns to weight. So we can weight whatever columns we'd like over here, and then choose the percentage of weight as we put them over here. So we're going to go 50% and 50%, and it's kind of neat because it calculates it for you. At the bottom here, it tells you total weight. So if you get in there and you're like, your total weight's only 85%, you're like, oh man, I haven't added enough for each column to get it just right to 100%. So, and then instead of doing individual columns like this, so we'll get rid of these 2. You can also do it by categories, which is what we were talking about previously. So if you create these criteria to create these categories, let's say everyone who scores under 60% on the homework category, you can create a category like that will only pick up those columns. Then you can use those categories to weight over here. Sorry, boom. Well, we don't have any categories set up in this demo course. Sorry about that. That actually have information in them, so that's why it's not going over there. But that's how you would use categories in a weighted, calculated column. And calculate as a running total, yes or no, and then the other standard options, same as any other column. So, yes?
Can you change the decimal? So we want the 2 decimal places?
Yeah, you can go up to 4 decimal places now. Yeah, it changed. That's in April 2014, the one we just installed over Christmas. And the question was, can you do more than 2 decimal places in percentages? And the answer is yes. You can go up to 4 decimal places now, and it'll calculate correctly. That was one of the big things they fixed in the April 2014 release. Now, we want to talk about organizing your grade center. And basically this means, what I really want to hit home is the grade center is something that you're going to see, your students will never see. This is yours for you as an instructor. Your students will never see this. Your students see their My Grades page, which is a reflection of the Grade Center, but it's not the Grade Center. So Grade Center is something for instructors only. So when I talk about organizing your Grade Center, what I'm talking about is right here, Manage Column Organization. This page allows you to do a number of things. And I like to compare it to Excel. If you've used the Excel spreadsheets, you can freeze rows, you can move rows around, you can put one on top of the other, you can stick one inside of, you can insert one. But this screen allows you, as you can see, everything above this bar is frozen. These little marks on the side here allow you to move this thing. So you can move that frozen bar and freeze everything above it. So that's kind of neat. You can freeze the username, your last name, and first name is usually what is frozen. The ones that are grayed out and italicized are hidden. Students don't see them. You don't see them. I mean, they're hidden from you. In this view, this pertains to instructors only. So if they're grayed out and it says hidden, that means that you're not going to see them in the Grade Center. It doesn't necessarily mean that the students aren't going to see them. You have to do that at a separate place. So you can move these columns in any position you want just by dragging these columns in place like that. You can also change their category, and you can show and hide them here, which is the same as showing and hiding them from yourself in the Grade Center. Everything you do, make sure that you click the Submit button. Otherwise, the changes won't go through to the Grade Center. Now, I was talking about hiding them from students. The way you hide a column from students in their My Grades area is you go into your full Grade Center and you use this little drop down at the top of the column, and you choose, this is hide from instructor view, but course grade is not what I want. I want this one right here, and you want to hide from students, on or off. So if you hide this from the students, it's going to show you that it's hidden with this little icon. It's a light gray ball with a red slash through it. That means it's hidden from students in their My Grade view. So if you want to hide a column from both yourself and your students, you would first hide it here while you can see it. Then you would go into column organization, and you would find mid-course survey and hide it from yourself. See, now it's grayed out. We'll click submit, and you'll notice it doesn't show up in the list anymore. Yes?
Can you hide grades from an individual student?
No. It's an all or nothing thing, unless the column was made specifically to show grades for just that one student, which you can do. So yes, but it would be, and the question was, I'm sorry, the question was, can you hide grades from a specific student? And the answer is yes. However, you'd have to create a custom column that just showed that student's individual grade, and then you could hide it from that student. Yeah. Yes?
Does the order of columns in the Grade Center have any relationship to calculation, or can you move them around and they will calculate?
No. The question was, does the order of columns in the Grade Center have any relation to calculation? No. Calculation is a function of the calculated column and the formula or criteria that you build for that calculated column, and which columns you include in that calculation, in that formula. Whether they're hidden or not doesn't make any difference. As long as that column is checkmarked as, and I'll show you what it looks like right here. As long as that column is checkmarked as include this column in Grade Center calculations. As you can see, this one is not. So this one would not, it doesn't matter what you do in this column, it's not included in Grade Center calculations. So if it's included in Grade Center calculations, and if that column is included in another calculated column's formula, then yes. But the organization, just moving them back and forth, so you can put assignment 1, 2, and 3 instead of having assignment, and all mixed up, just to make it look best for yourself. So when you're organizing it for yourself to make it better for yourself and more easily understood. Now, using the Grade Center, we have in this list here on top of our Smart Views the Needs Grading button. The Needs Grading button, I'm sure you're probably familiar with. It literally puts things up right in your view of your students that have turned something in. So if you have assignment 1 and 4 out of 5 of your students have turned it in, but you haven't graded it yet, it'll be in this Needs Graded area. And they'll come right up. It's an easy thing. You look at it, you say, oh, I've got M1 sample paper from ATSU demo student. Let's grade there. So you click on the user attempt. You go ahead and grade the paper by downloading it or looking at it. If it's a Word document, it'll actually show up in line here. It's called inline grading. And then we'll put our grade and our feedback to the learner, and we'll save it, and we'll save everything here, and it's got a copy of the document that was turned in. That's in the needs grading area. A new item in Blackboard, April 2014 edition, the one we just installed, is called the anonymous grading. And anonymous grading are items in the Grade Center that you can grade without viewing user information, provided, of course, that the student's submission does not include their name. So It doesn't systemically identify the student. So Blackboard's not going to say this is the student if you set up anonymous grading. So this option is available in the column header contextual menu on the Grade Center page. So let's say we wanted to do anonymous grading on the M1 sample paper here. We'd use the contextual menu and we'd choose, where is it? Right there. Yeah, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I was looking for the word anonymous. This is all brand new to me too, so we just got this installed. I just started playing with this stuff here, but yeah, username, hide usernames is enabled, so it'll just identify them with a number. So if they haven't put their name on the paper, it's truly anonymous, and it just it kind of keeps biases under control. Or if you have a concern about that. It was something that the user base wanted, and so Blackboard put anonymous grading into the Grade Center, and that's how you do it. Another neat thing that's new is called color coding of the Grade Center, and so you'll go into the full Grade Center, and again in this Manage drop down, and grading color codes. This is a new thing that you will not have seen before. This is not enabled by default, so when you go into this grading color codes area, you need to enable it first of all, and then and it's got these 3 default areas. You can create your own, but for the default areas, let's say that you want to highlight things that need to be graded in the full Grade Center. Let's choose a color. Let's choose bright red there, and then we'll add a criteria for grade ranges here. Let's say that between 40% and 60%, or no, let's just say less than 60%. So someone who's failing that quiz, for example, you want to make that real obvious. So we'll choose a background of red, and we'll choose a text color of bright yellow. And so that's what it's going to look like there, that indicator preview. So in your column now is everyone who is less than 60% in any column is going to be highlighted with this color code. You can create as many as you want. So if you have, and it's all custom. You know, so you can create your own stuff. So in these grading, you can give these things the in progress. We'll give this a blue color, and exempts will give a light green, and then you can create as many criteria as you'd like. So if you want to really, and you get to choose the background color and the text color, and it's kind of like the color tags in Gmail that you can set up. So at a glance you can say, oh well, here's this student needs help or something like that. So it's just kind of a neat way to color code in the Grade Center, and that's about the end of it for me. Has anyone got any specific questions they'd like to ask about the Grade Center today while I'm here?
I have one thing.
Yes.
As you know, I'm still using WebCT for grades.
Okay.
And I really like the fact that I can build formulas.
Yes.
Can I do that in here?
Not as such.
So I can't calculate standard deviation.
It's not I must say the formula building capabilities of the calculated columns in WebCT, which is the old product, were better. They just were better. It was harder. It was more complex, but it also afforded you a lot more flexibility. These are not quite as flexible, but you can do a lot of the same stuff you could do in WebCT. The minimum, maximum.
Sort of a form that I need to be filling out and sending to Blackboard every week to tell them.
There is actually a form you can go to Blackboard. It's called the suggestion box or whatever. I'll send you the link for it. Yes.
Isn't there an add-on though? I mean, whenever Blackboard was here on campus,
It is. Yes.
there's
It's.
an add-on to do that.
Yeah. We actually checked into it, and it's prohibitively expensive. It's very, very, very expensive, and I think they're using it as a way to generate revenue, to be honest with you, because it was ridiculously expensive. So I think we looked at it, and it was actually sent to the deans and everything, and they decided it was just too expensive to buy that add-on module. So we work with what we've got, which is the calculated columns here. Yeah. Anyone else? No? Well, thank you very much for having me today. And again, my name is Brent Rasmussen. If you need any... go ahead. Yeah.
Since we do have some time,
Yeah.
how do you set up the automatic notification for students at risk that will send them to the email outside of the grade book?
That'll
So
send the students the email?
Students.
Well,
So you can do reports and have them send out a letter saying, you scored below 70 or you haven't been.
yeah, it's that's called the retention center.
Right. Can you do that attached to the grade book?
Well, yeah, it's not something that.
Since we have time. I'm trying to figure it out.
The retention center is it's kind of hard to describe. It's a separate tool that you need to activate in the course. It's a Blackboard building block, and it allows you to set alerts for. And honestly, I haven't set up for this today. I can get with you. Yeah. Yeah, I can get with you, and we can figure that out. But the retention center is something that's been available actually since like SP10. I don't think a lot of us have used it much, but it is available, and I can get with you, and we'll figure out how that works for you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know you kind of covered this, but I just want to hear it again, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so a student puts attempt 1 and attempt 2 in, and you have this thing that says take the higher one.
Right.
If you grade attempt 1 at a 0 or something, and then grade the other one at a 20,
right,
it'll automatically take the 20 without erasing it.
Right.
And it gets it out of your.
Yeah, it's called minimum maximum column, and so it allows you to select calculation type minimum, calculation type maximum, select the columns that you wish to calculate. And yeah, so it's not the same assignment. You'd have assignment 1, try 1, assignment 1, try 2. 2 columns. And so you would add those 2 columns right here, bing, and move it over, and then move it over. And then it would, depending on what type you chose, minimum or maximum, it would just look at both of those columns, and the higher one, if you chose maximum, it would grab that and put that into the calculated total, or the other way around.
Or what's the other option if you give a student, so many attempts, and 3 attempts, and they still don't get it right? Do you just still?
That's a function. That's a function of the assignment itself. If you have an assignment, you tell when you're setting up the assignment, you can set up a number of attempts. So you can set up 4 attempts, and you can say, I want to take the highest, or the average of the 4, or the lowest, or you could set those up, and that's when you actually create an assignment, a native Blackboard assignment. So that's another way you can do that as well.
Does that work now?
Yeah.
Because it didn't used to work. Because you were mirroring it, it would reset everything. So.
Oh, I see. When you're copying over, you mean? When you're copying the course?
You can't do repetitive testing in Blackboard because it was resetting it.
Oh, I see.
So you couldn't say they can take it twice or unlimited.
Well, when we build an assignment, and we're kind of getting out of Grade Center, but that's fine, we're here. Submission details, group submission, we can do a multiple attempt, and we can choose 5 attempts, and we can score them using the last graded, the highest grade, the lowest grade, the first graded attempt, or an average of graded attempts. And they do work. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about with the...
Yeah, the people from ASU teaching here in the summer, and the people in Soma were saying that every time you guys mirrored on Friday or something, it would reset that, so then the students no longer had multiple attempts.
That's very interesting. That's the first I've heard of that.
Okay.
You mean when they did the backups?
Whatever
The
you were
database
doing, it
back.
would reset those, so
Cool.
all of a sudden the students wouldn't have multiple attempts anymore.
That is very interesting. I have not heard of that.
Order on that, because I just heard that yesterday
I
too.
understand the original recorders and everything, and everything, all of a sudden.
Huh. Okay.
I just haven't tested it again since then.
And just by the way, since we're in the assignment setup area, this is where you would set up plagiarism checking, safe assignment. So instead of turn it in, use a native Blackboard assignment and check submissions for plagiarism. And then this is where you allow the students to see the originality reports or you don't. And this is where you would either add them to the global database or not. It's entirely up to you. And so it's built right into the assignments now. Yes?
Since Turnitin is because Safe Assign is Blackboard's version
Safe
of
Assign
it,
is Blackboard's version of Turnitin, if you will. They're kind of
Turnitin is
competitors.
so
Yeah.
superior.
I would tend to agree with you. The problem is that Blackboard is Blackboard, and it uses its native stuff. And now they have very tightly integrated Safe Assign into the assignment. So there's no longer a separate Safe Assignment that you must create. You just create an assignment, and if you want to use Safe Assign on it, you check that box right there. And the advantage of that is you can also use native Blackboard rubrics with that assignment and the Safe Assign
Which one do you
functionality.
feel is stronger, Jim?
Turnitin.
Turnitin is by far, and that's why we use it.
Plagiarism committee.
And that's why we use it, but
Years ago, we looked
yeah.
at both of them, and Turnitin was
Definitely.
much stronger.
Yeah.
Much better, but the problem is you can't do rubrics.
right, that's the drawback, is that Blackboard has made it almost
You can do
impossible to
automatic
use.
rubric- You can do rubrics,
Yeah.
but you can't do the automatic rubric grading that puts it into the grade book.
Right.
Brent, have you heard about an issue with Turnitin with the upgrade?
Yes, and that's what we're just talking about. The issue is that previously you were able to attach a native Blackboard rubric to a Turnitin assignment.
Oh, okay, so this is a new thing.
Brand new.
That's a
This is
problem.
something we just discovered. And,
So Jim,
but,
is that what you were talking
No, I
about?
couldn't do it before. I couldn't
Yeah,
do it.
oh, okay, all right.
Turnitin has its own rubrics.
Right,
But I
but
could
they're not
never-
quite as good as the
If I used
Blackboard rubrics,
Turnitin,
yeah.
I had to do it separately.
Yep, and upload
and
the
then
grades
grade
separately, yeah.
I couldn't do a Blackboard
Yeah.
rubric automatic and have it.
And grade from the
automatic.
rubric. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And that's the drawback of using Turnitin. Even though Turnitin, we all agree, is a better tool for plagiarism checking, its built-in rubrics aren't as good as Blackboard's, and Blackboard's built-in plagiarism tool isn't as good as Turnitin. So we got a little disconnect there, but there are ways around it. We've come up with workarounds, and one of the workarounds is something as simple as making a screenshot of your rubric so that your students can see it. Now, of course, that doesn't allow you to grade by the rubric still, but there you go.
The feature I would love to see with that as an administrator is to be able to see a tally by instructor, who's picking what rubric voting block or grading block, so then I can turn around and say, wait a minute, you know, you're saying everybody
Right.
has APA writing format perfect, and when I'm looking at it, is there any?
Yeah. So you're talking about making reports
Yes,
out
I
of
can go
the
around
results of the
report based
rubric
on the
grading. Yeah,
rubric.
that's a good idea. Again, there's a website you can go to at Blackboard, which is a suggestion website, basically that you put in your suggestion what do you want them to do. So, anything else? Anyone else? All right. Well, thanks very much, and you guys have a great day. Thanks.